Ever since the first Five Nights at Freddy's film dropped, there's been so much speculation about how Blumhouse would follow it up. New animatronics, more lore, maybe even actual scares? My friends and I were pretty hyped to see it, and I finally got around to seeing FNAF 2 in the cinema when it came out. I went in feeling really curious to see whether it could live up to my hopes for the franchise, given its fan service laden but entertaining first cinematic installment, or if it was just another case of sequel syndrome. I left the theatre with pretty mixed feelings, but was looking forward to my rewatch for this review, to be honest. So, is FNAF 2 a worthy sequel, or pretty crappy? Let's find out. Without further ado, on with the review.
Polos is life, 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 sleep all night and then Polos is life.
The film opens with a flashback to 1982, when the Freddy Fazbear's franchise was at its peak. We see a young girl, Charlotte, waiting for the puppet to appear. She talks to a young Vanessa about how she feels that the puppet is the only thing that brings her comfort, although she anthropomorphizes the animatronic in a rather disturbing way.
She's the only one I can rely on. She's the only one who's always here for me.
Vanessa does manage to convince Charlotte to have a piece of cake with the others, but she spots William Afton luring a child away. She tries to alert the adults around her, but they don't listen, so she decides to take matters into her own hands. Man, the adults here suck! Talk about irresponsible! Vanessa tries to stop Charlotte before she goes in, but she doesn't listen and is caught and stabbed by William while rescuing the boy. As she collapses, the puppet animatronic activates and ends up cradling her. From my understanding of the FNAF lore, Charlotte's kidnapping was hinted at in the games, but later retconned in the books. In the present day, that being the early 2000s apparently, Vanessa wakes up from a nightmare after being called by Mike Schmidt. Okay, enough of that. Mike and Abby have moved house, and as she heads to school, Mike's friend Jeremiah comes by to help him paint the new place. Abby gushes to everyone at school about the events of the last movie, and this brings her closer to her friend and robotics class partner, Bryson. There's an upcoming science fair that weekend, which coincides with the town's Freddy Fazbear Festival, aptly named FazFest. Mr. Berg, the robotics teacher, doesn't approve of the festival, and approves of Abby even less.
Miss Schmidt, robotics isn't for everyone.
Why is he such a hater? Isn't the point of being a teacher to encourage your students? Bryson tries to comfort her and suggests that maybe she should try to fix the animatronics herself. Mike gets ready for a dinner date with Vanessa that evening and tells her that maybe it's not such a good idea. His reaction will make more sense later. For now, Abby resigns herself to watching a crappy paranormal investigation show, basically what I was doing at 11 as well. The date is a little awkward, but we learn that Vanessa has started spin class, and Mike encourages her to resolve her issues with her dad, so that the nightmares will stop. Methinks some therapy is in order. However, when he returns, he finds that Abby has gone down to the local abandoned Freddy Fazbear's pizza place, only to discover that her friends are gone. Mike does deliver quite a sweet line here though.
They're always gonna be right here.
They decide to take a Freddy Fazbear themed talking alphabet toy with them, which is definitely a good idea considering this place used to be haunted. Anyways, Mike finds a creepy poster claiming that Fazbear's is a murder house, with a phone number to call on it. Sometime later, a group of amateur sleuths, the ones from the TV show, head to the original Freddy Fazbear's location, the one where Charlotte died 20 years earlier. They're comprised of Lisa, Alex and Rob. They're confronted by a creepy guy named Mike, or Michael, and those familiar with the games will recognize him as Michael Afton, hint hint. He takes them on a tour of the abandoned restaurant and shows them Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, and Toy Chica. Lisa and Rob follow their spirit boxes, separating the group, with Lisa drawn towards the sound of a music box. She turns it off, awakening the puppet, now possessed by Charlotte's spirit, and each member of the group is dealt with. Lisa is attacked and possessed by Charlotte, Alex is attacked by Mangle, and Rob is attacked by a swarm of mini piranha-like puppets. It doesn't look too bad in these shots specifically, but generally speaking, I don't like the puppet's makeup here. It looks like a Snapchat filter. Vanessa has a mental breakdown at her spin class, and even ends up pulling a gun on one of the attendees after mistaking him for William. She goes home and uses the white noise from television static to induce a trance-like state. There, she imagines herself as a child in her childhood home, and confronts William before running out of the house. Meanwhile, Abby struggles to sleep and is alerted by a creepy message on the toy she took, supposedly being from Chica.
Abby, help us.
Abby heads over to the original Fazbear location, where she's met by Toy Chica, who's apparently voiced by Megan Fox of all people. How Blumhouse managed that one, I wonder. Something seems off here, but Chica does help Abby complete her project for the science fair. Vanessa goes to talk to Mike the next day, and is really put off when she hears about Abby's adventures. Mike tells her that he called the number on the leaflet he found earlier, and that it was Charlotte's dad who made it. Keep this in mind for later. Vanessa goes to confront Charlotte at the pizzeria, and the ghost girl isn't too happy about being trapped due to a perimeter lock. Basically an electronic barrier activated to trap the animatronics inside. Why is Vanessa telling her all this? Isn't that just telling her exactly what she needs to do to free herself? Anyways, Mr. Bug accidentally smashes Abby's science fair project, and she rushes to Toy Chica for help. Toy Chica offers to go with Abby as her science fair project in exchange for Abby inputting the code to deactivate the perimeter lock. Unbeknownst to her, Charlotte is actually bargaining Abby's life with Vanessa in return for the code. The YouTuber Corey X Kenshin appears as a bewildered cab driver again, and he drives Abby and Chica to the science fair. Meanwhile, Mike visits Charlotte's father, who's played by Skeet Ulrich. Hey, I know that guy! Mike deduces that Abby is at the original Fazbear location after spotting some notes among Skeet's papers. Before Mike leaves, Skeet gives him a music box that he says helped Charlotte sleep as a baby. At the science fair, Abby and Chica try to confront Mr. Bug, but he accuses Abby of getting a friend to wear a suit and passing it off as her own work, lambasting her in front of everyone. Chica responds to this, as one does, with a thinly veiled threat.
I just want to see what's going on inside of his head.
And that she does, because when he's alone, Chica ambushes Mr. Bug and squishes his head like it's a bad effect in Friday the 13th Part 3 or something. To be fair, it's not that bad. That's just what came to mind for me. Mike rescues Vanessa and explains what we could already infer, that Charlotte can be kept at bay via the music box. We also get an appearance from Balloon Boy in the abandoned river ride. Vanessa heads into town to find Abby and the other animatronics, while Mike attempts to disconnect them remotely. Charlotte detects this and activates the prototype, or withered versions of the animatronics we know and love, so they can attack Mike. As there's no door to the control room and it's poorly lit, Mike has to put on a leftover Freddy mask to avoid detection by the animatronics, although this doesn't work on Foxy. This is actually a mechanic in the game, and I was quite pleased with how they incorporated it into the film. At the same time, the toy animatronics break into the homes of the parents who originally ignored Charlotte, and Vanessa is attacked by Mangle while driving. However, she manages to stop both Freddy and Mangle by crashing into the house, freeing the parents. 3 birds with 1 stone, I guess? Toy Bonnie is apparently voiced by MatPat here, and it sounds absolutely nothing like him.
My name is Bonnie. Can we be friends, Debbie?
I guess that does show his skill as a voice actor. Mike manages to deactivate the animatronics, except for the puppet, who possesses Abby at the last moment. Desperate, Mike returns to the local Fazbear location and begs the ghost children for help. Possessed Abby does look a bit creepy at points, but thankfully, Mike scares the puppet away with the music box. This doesn't work for long, however, as Michael turns the toy animatronics back on. The original animatronics arrive just in time and literally beat up their toy counterparts, while Jeremiah stops Michael from escaping. The ghost children get a proper send-off, but Freddy warns Mike that he will no longer be able to hold him back. I assume he's referring to William Afton here. The movie ends with Mike snubbing Vanessa for keeping things from him, and she's possessed by Charlotte as the others leave. So, what did I think of Five Nights at Freddy's 2? It wasn't offensive, but I was a little disappointed. I find the characterization of the puppet here quite interesting, as it does deviate slightly from the source material. Although the puppet's backstory is tragic, I found her portrayal less sympathetic here than in the games. Here she's simply shown to be vengeful, whereas in the games, she seems to believe she is protecting the other ghost children from you. The ghost children were barely utilised in this film. I've already talked about how Mike Schmidt is a pseudonym of Michael Afton in the games, who actually shares a lot more in common with the cinematic version of Vanessa in terms of his guilt surrounding William's murder streak. In this film, Michael Afton is a separate character who is essentially the secondary antagonist. I'm not really sure what to make of him, as he was pretty underutilised as well. I think there was definitely some stunt casting involved here. I mean, Megan Fox? The first film already acknowledged the fandom directly through memes, and this trend did continue in this film, although to a lesser extent.
Oh. Maybe not.
Along with the lack of ghost children, I feel like this sequel just generally lacks a connection to its predecessor. For example, Garrett is only mentioned in passing, and we don't really see Mike trying to recover. He just sort of lectures Vanessa in a very unempathetic fashion. I get that 1 year has passed between the films, but there needs to be something more to bridge the stories. I'm also both horrified and unsurprised to announce that FNAF 2 has been nominated for a Razzie Award in the Worst Remake, Rip-Off or Sequel category. Given the other nominees in the category, honestly, any of these films could win. In summary, I think that FNAF 2 isn't able to stand on its own as a standalone film. I definitely preferred the first film, but I hope that the Razzie nomination doesn't deter Blumhouse from moving forward with the franchise, as Part 2 really comes across as a setup for Part 3, which I do plan on reviewing. Well, that's all for this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.
The blue and green ones are my favorite kind, but I'll eat the colored ones from time to time. Cause Polos is life, 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 Polos is life. Sleep all night and then Polos is life.